Hello, welcome to another episode of my podcast, which is called A Cuppa with Anna. I'm so excited today about my guest because you actually interviewed me the other week, didn't you, Grace? So now I'm interviewing you. So I'm joined by Grace Jones, and Grace is a speaker and she's a coach and she's fascinated by all things related to mindset. Definitely a fascinating subject, and especially the parts to do with habits and habitual ways of thinking that not only run our lives, but our expectations of ourselves and our levels of success. So, because you sent me an intro over, and I love the way you've worded that about how it impacts our expectations of ourselves. So I'm really looking forward to talking to you a bit more about that later.
I can't wait.
But first of all, how are you doing? You all right?
I'm doing good, thank you. Yes. It's not quite as sunny as it was when I got up, but it's a lovely day, and it's good.
Did you get out in the sun yesterday?
I went out in the garden for a bit. Yes, took the rubbish to the tip and do all those things.
Oh, that sounds exciting.
Very exciting.
So first of all, Grace, tell me a little bit about what you did leading up to becoming a speaker and a coach.
I started off in what I thought was a totally different sort of career that I fell into because I happened to be married to somebody who was in IT, and he said, look, you can make lots of money in IT, why don't you try it? So having failed my maths O level 3 times, I didn't think it was actually the career for me, but I went for it. And cut a very long story short, I had a long career as a freelance IT. I was a programmer first, and then I moved into what they call business analysis, which is all about asking questions. And having done that for a while, I was getting more and more dissatisfied, split up with the husband quite a long time ago, and started to read personal development books and became fascinated with things like NLP and language patterns, which led me to hypnosis. And then I studied hypnotherapy and tapping and lots of different modes of being able to help people, and found it so fascinating. I thought, I want to get out of this business. I want to get into the business of helping other people, which was what I ultimately did.
Yeah.
And it turned out that it's all about how we program ourselves. So
absolutely. Do you remember that first kind of personal development book that you read? Do you remember? Is there like a standout one that kind of got you into it?
No, I've read so many, and I started off reading management books. I suppose the first one that I remember having a big impact is Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Successful People.
Yeah, ditto, same here.
Oh, fantastic.
I mean, that was the one.
Is there any other book? It was challenging for me to read because I was like, oh, really? But there was such a lot of wisdom in it, and I started to realize I was not a very disciplined person. I acted on impulse a lot of the time, and things didn't always turn out well. But I've read so many books since then. But yeah, he's a hero in my book.
Grace, are there any sort of, I'm curious to know, with this reprogramming, because this is something that really fascinates me as well. And are there any parts of yourself that you feel like you have successfully reprogrammed? Is there any thing? I'm just curious to know.
Yes. Several, actually. And, we're always a work in progress. One of the first things I learned to change was my reactions. I'd always been, people meet me now and they go, you're so relaxed, you're so calm. Well, that wasn't always the case. I was nervous, jumpy. I was the sort of person who would sit in the office, and when a phone went, you could see a gap between me and the chair as I jumped out of my chair. It's just a nervous reaction. I was on edge all the time, couldn't focus on things. Yeah. And I was always, you know, clenched and tight. And I used to have this lovely lady who would give me massages every Friday afternoon, and she'd go, "Oh, you're like a board. You're so tense." And I actually learned with my first NLP experience how I could change that.
Yeah.
Because it's just something that it's a habit that we learn. And I was doing it to protect myself. And when I learned how to do differently, I did it differently.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And congratulations on that, because it's hard, isn't it? I think I mean, I've reprogrammed a few parts of myself and still working on a few, but it's hard. It's hard work.
Yes, it is. Yeah. And that's why people don't tend to do it, or they expect a response really, really quickly, and it takes time. You know, it depending on what you want to change, you might change it in a few days, or it might take months, because we're actually rewiring our brain to act differently. And, you know, we've got to get all those neural connections firing in that one way that is going to work for us.
Yeah.
And the more we do it, the stronger it becomes, until it becomes our default action.
Something else I picked up on what you were saying, and it's been kind of really sort of prominent in my mind recently, is you said that everyone thought you were so calm and relaxed, and actually that wasn't what was going on inside. And I think I'm spotting this more and more with just people I'm meeting and going to networking groups, and people's perception of me, actually, which has really surprised me recently. And I think it's so important to not, we really can't judge a book by its cover, can we? And we've all got like stuff going on, and you've no idea. You know, I've had a lot of people say, "Oh, you're just so confident, you seem so sorted, Anna." And I'm just like, if you could, I have insecure parts too, you know, and sometimes that's quite hard, because I think we can all make assumptions about people. And I just think it's a really nice reminder, really, that you said that.
And there's also a difference between what we expose to the world, while what we feel inside, are they congruent? Because so often we're like, you know, actors and actresses, we put on a face so that we appear confident. Like, I used to have to do presentations when I was doing the IT stuff, and I was terrified. Inside, I was quaking. Whereas when I learned differently, I could actually feel calm inside. And now I think that comes over when I'm speaking to people, because I enjoy it. It's so much easier. So the takeaway is, you can change anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, it's okay to mess up, isn't it? It's like, this is what I learned. You know, I was dating someone recently, and I got this fear of initiating meeting up. So it's sort of like, I can't, surely I can't ask him what if he rejects me and all this. And I was doing it, and I was initiating, and I was doing it, but inside I felt like a monster was chasing me. And I think I came across probably a bit overly confident. And so I think, you know, when you're changing stuff, you can be a bit clunky, can't you? And I think he probably thinks I'm so confident. Actually, it's really not what was going on. What are your thoughts on sort of self-forgiveness and that kind of thing? Because I think that's surely really important part of the process.
Absolutely. We are our own worst enemies. We judge ourselves far more harshly than we would ever judge anybody else. You've just got to feel at ease with yourself, and accept that, you know, I call myself a recovering perfectionist, because I was brought up, you know, everything had to be perfect. You had to do everything right. If you didn't do it right, you know, don't do it again. Whereas in actual fact, we have to be forgiving. We learn far more by our mistakes than we ever learn by our successes. They're there for a reason.
Yeah. Yes, you need to be kind to yourself,
Yes. Give yourself a hug.
Yeah,
Especially if you're in self-isolation.
Yeah, no, I've got so used to
I can't hug anybody else.
No. So tell me a little bit more about your work as a speaker.
Well, I speak primarily about habits and how they control who we are and what we do, and how we actually develop those habits. So it's very largely helping people understand why they do what they do, and then how they can learn to do it differently if that's what they choose. Because some people are very happy going along the way things are, and other people are like, I know there's more I can do. I would love to be able to do that. I mean, you know, so and so did it, but it just doesn't work for me. Well, you know, we can, I know it's a cliche, and there are certain, you know, physical limitations. I could never be a basketball player because I'm only 5'1.5" inches. But
because I've not met you in person.
yeah, I'm sort of on the tiny side. But if you want to do something, you want to do something badly enough, and you have a real interest and a passion in it, there's always a way. I'm amazed by, especially recently, people are starting to do things that normally they would have thought, well, that's only a hobby. You know, I could never do it full time. There's all manner of things that people are interested in that other people want to know about. So the world's your oyster.
Are there any particular habits that you speak about or coach people in that you sort of really enjoy working with?
No, because I think everybody has a unique take on their habit. So although it might be the same habit, people have come to it in different ways for different reasons.
Sure.
When I was doing hypnotherapy, I did quite a lot of work with the virtual gastric band, which is all about eating and our relationship with food. So I'm tending not to do quite so much of that now, because I'm focusing on people in their careers, in their working lives, in their personal relationships.
What advice would you have for anyone out there who, you know, is repeating the same patterns and kind of scared to change it? Because I know you mentioned earlier, I think there can be that expectation of getting it right first time, and it's, you know, it's about being really patient with yourself. And I actually think the more patient you are with yourself, you have more patience with others as well, accepting that. What would you say to them?
If somebody really wants to change something, there's usually a reason. So when you're trying to change something, it's no good if somebody else wants you to do it. So
I've learned that one.
We've all learned that one. Everybody's been on that journey.
I think I'm finally out the other side.
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to work.
No, don't change anyone else.
Please other people. I mean, you know, best will in the world. Yes, it's a nice thing to do, but if it's not authentic to you, I mean, it's why so many people sort of, you know, go back to smoking, you know, because they never really wanted to give up in the first place. They were doing it for somebody else. But it's finding your why. Why do you want to do it? What benefit is it going to give you? Once you've identified that, then you have to embrace it emotionally. Because if you're not emotionally invested in the change, then, you know, willpower will only get you so far. And that's why a lot of people don't actually end up creating the habit, because their willpower doesn't last the course. Your why power will last the course.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, almost like write your why down and stick it on the wall, sort of thing. Yeah.
Yes. Read it every day.
Actually, at my group the other day, we were talking about this and a little bit about whys, and I think for me, mine's always, but I just want to feel peaceful inside. So it's like if I'm trying to achieve something, so I'm trying to ultimately achieve a feeling of peace inside, because that's ultimately what we all want, isn't it? Is sort of to feel calm and peaceful. So yeah, got peace. Peace written around a few places. What's your why, Grace?
I don't want anybody else to feel the way that I used to feel. That there are so many of us who are stuck, who think there is no other way of being. And I just want to help people understand that we are all meant to feel good about ourselves. We are all meant to achieve the whatever success means to us, and it will be different for different people. But we can all change if we want to, and it's just helping people understand why change doesn't work sometimes. Because there's the saying, the things that are simple to do are simple not to do.
Mm-hmm.
But once you've experienced a change, like me, sort of learning how to be calm, and that did not happen overnight, you become sort of evangelistic. You want everybody to feel good. I mean, somebody else said, we're all just degraded children. And so if you remember when you were a kid, you used to wake up every day. It was exciting. It was fun. And it still should be. So I just want people to experience the fun.
Mm-hmm. And like you say, when you know and you know how good it feels, and you're like you said, like I'm promoting this drug that I've got, like
Absolutely.
and it's about your thoughts. Grace, when you're not speaking or coaching or being interested in the human mind, what sort of things do you like to do to relax?
Okay, so what I used to
have fun or whatever, really.
Yeah, well, I do love music. I sort of verge on the classical, but there's lots of other genres and world music and stuff like that. I love dancing. I've done a lot of Sarok and jive. Tried my hand at salsa. I'm not much good at that. Hips on right for salsa.
Okay.
And when I was a kid, I actually wanted to be a dancer. So yeah, I just love dancing. I used to dance about 4 or 5 times a week. Sort of not since I've lived in Exmouth, but in other places that I've lived where there was lots of opportunity to dance. And it's a great way to wind down at the end of the day, because once you start dancing, it's sort of, when you're moving your body, your mind thinks differently. And it's a fun thing to do. You've got the music, you've got other people. Now, not possible, but yeah.
No, I'm totally with you on it. It can get you out such a funny headspace, because through lockdown I was having an hour's dance party just on my own every day.
Oh,
and I've just brought that into life now. I'm just dancing around the house continuously. I can't stop. So I totally hear you. Although I wouldn't be so good at the partner dancing.
Okay.
How did you find the partner dancing?
I loved it.
Yeah?
It's my preferred way of dancing.
Yeah.
There's just something about dancing with somebody else. It's also interesting, sort of as a woman, I found it so hard because I was so independent that when I learned to dance, partner dancing, I couldn't be led.
That's why I can't do it.
But once it's another skill to learn. It's sort of releasing that and learning to follow. And then what I did was I actually learned to dance as a man. So I had the experience of leading. And it's interesting. It's fascinating. And it's very hard work. Leading rather than following. A bit like life.
Yeah. And I think, and it's a bit like sort of, I'm trying to relate it to sort of when I learn a song, it's almost like you can't really fully give it your all until you've learned it, and then you can really feel your way into it, can't you?
Yeah.
You gonna give us a few moves?
I'm up against a wall. No.
Oh dear. Right. I'm going to fire my 10 questions at you now that I fire at everyone. So the first one is, what has been your favourite moment of today so far?
It's my meditation. First thing in the morning, I just do a quiet meditation and it just grounds me for the rest of the day. I love it.
How long do you meditate for in the morning, Grace?
It varies, but it's usually somewhere between 15 minutes or 30 minutes. So in a weekend, I'll probably do 30 minutes. That's what I did today.
And do you do that as soon as you get up, or?
Yeah, normally before I get out of bed, I just sort of sit up and assume the position and just, it's part of my waking up process, because you know, it's when you're sort of still slightly sleepy, but you're just sort of, you know, able to channel. I get some great ideas when I meditate first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Notebook by the side of the bed to write things down.
Definitely. Okay. And what are you most grateful for at the moment?
The thing I'm most grateful for all the time is my family. So, especially my daughter, she's amazing.
Okay. One of your favourite nature spots?
Okay, my most favourite nature spot in the world is Hale Towers Beach. So I was born and brought up in Cornwall, and Hale has the most amazing beach. It's vast, and when the tide's out, it just goes on forever. The sand is beautiful. The sea is unpredictable, and it's never the same twice. And I just love the feeling. It's sort of, it's like the wide open space. It's magic.
Nice. Oh, that's a nice little calming talk on it there. Anyone think you're a speaker?
Feel the sand under your feet.
Yes. And we are entering into a half an hour long meditation. What's your favourite hot drink?
Depends what time of day it is.
Oh, okay.
So in the afternoon, ginger tea. In the morning, black coffee.
Okay. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Well, my mum always used to say, do your best. Do your best, that's all you can do. But then I heard Maya Angelou, she said, do your best until you know better. When you know better, do better.
Oh, I've not heard that one for a while. Thanks for reminding us of that.
Okay.
Okay, a standout person from your life and why?
Well, that would be my mum's cousin. So she was a lot younger than my mum, but she was a lot older than me. And when I was a kid growing up, she was the only role model I had of a working woman. And she was professional and she was glamorous and she wore high heels and she had tailored suits and a fast car. And I just grew up thinking, I want to be like her. And she's still my role model now, actually, even though she's, you know, she's quite elderly now and she's not in the best of health, but she is so independent. And that's what I love. Yeah.
That's lovely. A standout book and why?
That has got to be The Alchemist by Paul Coelho. So I love this book. It's most people know the story, but if you don't, it's about a shepherd, a Spanish boy who goes off to find, you know, fortune. And it's so beautifully written, and it's got such a lot of wisdom in it. It's not a very long book, but it's just a lovely read. It's the hero's journey, really, in a nutshell. And do you mind if I just read a passage from it?
Oh,
Because
go for it. Yeah.
I found my copy yesterday evening, and I started to read it, and I thought, I'm gonna have to share this. It says, "Now you're almost at the end of your journey," said the alchemist. "I congratulate you for having pursued your destiny." "And you've told me nothing along the way," said the boy. "I thought you were going to teach me some of the things you know. A while ago, I rode through the desert with a man who had books on alchemy, and I wasn't able to learn anything from them." "There is only one way to learn," the alchemist answered. "It's through action. Everything you need to know, you've learned through your journey. You need to learn only one thing more." And the boy wanted to know what that was, but the alchemist was searching the horizon looking for the falcon. "Why are you called the alchemist?" "Because that's what I am." "And what went wrong when the other alchemists tried to make gold and were unable to do so?" "They were only looking for gold," his companion answered. "They were seeking the treasure of their destiny without actually wanting to live out the destiny."
Oh, no, I've not read that book for so long. I'm so glad you read that out. Good choice of bit to read out as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think I might have to reread too now, Grace.
It's fantastic. I can't think why I haven't read it for such a long time.
And it's quite little, isn't it, as well? So
Yes,
it's quite
not very big. It's sort of, it's just not a very big book, but highly recommended.
Yeah.
If you only read one book this year, it's got to be it.
Yeah. Have you read any of his other books?
Yeah, I have. I've got quite a few of them, actually.
Have you?
Yeah. The Zaire, 11 Minutes. Oh gosh, there's loads of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So next one is Standout Film and why?
Gone with the Wind. I love Gone with the Wind. I mean, it's got everything. It's got war, peace, poverty, affluence, forgiveness, jealousy. It's just such a mammoth epic of a film. And yeah, it's dated, but all the emotions are there, and it's just one of my favorites. I loved the book. I read the book before I saw the film.
Okay. So. I don't think I've actually ever seen it.
It is a long, it's not something to watch in 5 minutes. It's about 3.5 hours long.
Yeah.
And a lot of people sort of think, oh, well, and I'm not very good at focusing on long films. 2 hours is usually my maximum, but this is just different. It's an epic.
Yeah. Everyone knows. Yeah, everyone's heard of Gone with the Wind, haven't they?
Yeah.
All right. A song you love to... No, a song you would have at your funeral. Sorry, I used to say song you would love to dance to, which has been really appropriate for you, but I've changed it to funeral now, so...
That's okay. It's called Dusk. It's an instrumental piece. It's by a man called Cecil Armstrong Gibbs, who was born, I think, at the end of the 19th century and died around about 1970 or something. It's a waltz, and it's beautiful. Go listen to it on Spotify. Dusk by Cecil Armstrong Gibbs. I love instrumental music, and this ticks all the boxes for me. So. Okay,
thank you. And I'm going to give you a scenario next, and I'd like to know what you would do when you find yourself in this situation. So you begin to feel quite sort of reactive and not in a very good headspace. Like maybe you could react towards someone or just go into a bit of a funky state. What's the first thing you do when you feel that rising in yourself?
Okay, I breathe. there's lots and lots of different breathing techniques I've learned. But when I want to calm down or put some space between me and my emotion, I do what they call 7-11 breathing, which is you breathe out like to blow out a candle, and then you breathe in for 7, hold for a couple of seconds, and then breathe out for 11.
Okay.
And it's really powerful. And if you do the full version, which is you breathe in for 7 while closing your eyes, but moving your eyes up towards your forehead, you're actually changing the chemical the chemicals in your brain. It's very, very powerful, and it can just give you that much needed space to consider before, the reaction is right. You've done it before you've realized you've done it. This gives you the space to sort of mentally step back and go, what do I want to do? Not what am I being driven to do, but what choices have I got?
Okay, thank you. Oh, I should try that one next time. All right. And lastly, do you have a challenge for our listeners?
Oh, yes, I do.
Oh.
So it's fairly well known amongst people who've worked with me or who know me that I am not a big fan of social media. Particularly things like Facebook and Twitter, which cause a lot of people an awful lot of angst. So my challenge is, if you do find that you spend a lot of time on social media, get off it for a week. Don't do anything. Don't engage with it for a whole week. And then notice the difference that you feel about how you feel about yourself and how you feel about other people at the end of that week.
That is a very good challenge, and I am all in support of that. It's
so you're going to try it?
No, I've been off it for 4 months. It's changed my life.
Of course, yes.
Yeah. Just LinkedIn now.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so very good challenge. Thank you for sharing that with us. Oh, Grace, it's been so nice to chat to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been lovely.
Yay. And what are you off to do now?
Oh, I'm probably going to go and do some gardening now.
Yeah.
Because I'm planning food changes in the garden, and
You're quite a keen gardener, aren't you? Because you've ordered a new shed as well, haven't you?
Oh yes. It's not that I'm keen. It's the one I have isn't going to last the winter.
Yeah.
But and no, I do like being out in the garden, and it's just a nice place to be. And I just want it to be more. It's not like any garden I've had before, because there's a lot of gravel and not too much grass. So my challenge is to make it feel a bit more like nature.
Nice. That sounds nice. Well, enjoy, and thank you so much again.
Thank you so much. It's been lovely speaking with you, Anna.
You too. Oh, Grace, also, if people want to check you out, where can they find you? They
can find me on www.gracejonesspeaker.com.
Okay. And one more thing, is there
and on LinkedIn? I'm on LinkedIn as well.
Okay. And another thing I forgot, is there anything else that you would like to say that you feel you haven't?
Believe in yourself. Just don't worry about what other people think of you. If there's something that you want to do, believe in yourself.
Perfect way to end. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.